One of the biggest mistakes that I made on the first few road trips that I planned was planning out every single day and packing so much into it that when we came back from the trip, we were utterly exhausted. I've learned a lot since then, especially now I travel on my own. It's impossible to drive 6, 7, 8 hour days and then keep doing that consistently for 1 or 2 weeks when you are on your own. So I've got a lot better at managing expectations and also managing my own energy and being able to see more of these incredible places that I am driving through. So in this video, which is part 2 of the road trip mini series, I'm going to walk you through how to plan your days so that they are reasonable and that you do not end your trip completely burnt out. If you are new here, welcome. Hi, my name is Kat and I am here to help motorhomers and campervanners make the most of their time on the road, particularly those who are planning a road trip but aren't quite sure how far they should aim for each day. Here we go. Now, the reason that planning how far you're going to drive each day can be difficult, especially when you're in a motorhome or perhaps a large camper van. Your driving speeds may be slightly different than what Google Maps are telling you. I know I've had several people like, hey, it said we would be there in 4 hours on the sat nav, but because they were driving at 50 or 60 rather than at 70, or there was roadworks or there was something else, it took them all day to get there and they arrived as stressed out and tired and not what they had in mind. So there are 2 things to consider when you are planning your trip. The first is to make sure that it's sensible. Can you actually drive to the destination that you've picked in the time that you have got allotted? You would not believe how many people tell me that they're going to go to southern Portugal for a week, or they're going to go to Croatia or Slovenia for a week. Now, it is doable. Of course it's doable. There are challenges like the Bailey of Bristol did a 21 countries in 21 days challenge. They were exhausted. They had a lot of fun, but they were exhausted. They had like 4 or 5 of them in each vehicle, rotating drivers as well. So for most of us, that's not realistic. You can do it, but make sure you're aware of what you're taking on before you start to do that. So the first thing, like I say, is to make sure that the distance you want to cover, the total distance that you want to cover, is reasonable for the time that you have got. I also recommend that you pick one of these 2 strategies. Now, personally, for me, when I'm on my own, I'm traveling on my own, I tend to have what I call a driving day, followed by an exploration day. It might even be followed by a work day as well, depending on the time of year it is and what I have to do. But I tend to do one big long driving day, get somewhere new, and then I can go and explore. That for me means that I can have a proper rest day off from driving and I can just chill and do whatever I want to do in that area. So on a driving day, I will drive as much as 6, 7 hours. I have been known to do 8 or 9 hours. That is rare. That's generally when I have to pick like Adam up from the airport, or I have to be at the ferry and I stayed too long and now I've got to like 4 days of driving non-stop to get there on time. Normally I aim for about 5, 6 hours. I tend to do 2, 3 hours in the morning, stop for some lunch, let Mac have a really good run somewhere, and then 2, 3 hours in the afternoon, which takes me to the campsite or the area I am. So that's what I do on a driving day. And like I say, I then stay wherever I've got to for 2 nights so that the day straight after that, I can have a relaxing day, I can have an exploration day, I can do whatever I want to do on that. The other strategy that you can use is to do shorter days of driving and you travel every single day. Now that works for a lot of people, especially if you want to explore like down the west coast of France and you want to do a little bit, do an hour or 2 every single day. Absolutely fine, especially if you're using the airs. Obviously, you don't want to book them up in advance, but that's the whole point of traveling and using the airs system. And so you can do that and you can be more flexible. I have to say, one thing I do on a driving day, if I am going somewhere like a popular area like the Italian lakes, where I know it's going to be really busy, I will try and get to the airs just after lunchtime, because that's when a lot of people are sort of moving and traveling and there's a lot greater chance of me getting a spot at the airs. If you leave it till 3, 4, 5 o'clock in the afternoon at the busy destinations, you're not going to have as much choice on the airs. So that does change a way that I do it as well. But you can absolutely do an hour or 2. Now the next thing to look at is the type of roads that you will be driving on. This is something that I do on wilder trips. I will plan in the points that I want to go see. Maybe not the specific airs, although I do sometimes look for those, but just like the rough places. Like I want to go to, if we're going down the west coast of France, I want to go to Bordeaux, I want to go to the Dune de Pilat, I want to go to Biarritz, you know, all of these different places, Ile de Ré. You wouldn't do that in that order, by the way. That was not a road trip itinerary that you should follow. But I sort of plan those points in, and then I put them in the order, and Wilder Trips will tell me the estimated driving time. And it's really important that you understand that is the estimated driving time. So if that feels too much for you, if that's too much driving in a day, you can put another stop in the middle and break that up into 2 days, or you can cut one of your stops out and go directly to another one. But you've got some flexibility. You can also do this using something like Google Maps. You can even put the points into your phone, like between each point, so you can see the rough driving distances. You can put them into your sat nav, and you can get an idea then on how far you're going to be traveling each day. One thing I don't do is plan everything into my sat nav for the entire trip, because what if I get to an air that I'm thinking of using and it's unavailable, it's flooded, it's building works, it's whatever, so I've changed to something else. That then throws off the whole of the route for the rest of the trip. So what I tend to do is literally put into my sat nav where my next stop is. I might do like for the whole day, so maybe if I've got a stop I've looked at for lunch that I look at, I tend to do that in the morning before I set off, like, oh, okay, where's a park or a forest where I can take Mac for a walk? And then I will put in my final destination stop, whether that's an air or whatever. And that's how I tend to use my sat nav. I don't put in every single point, but I do tend to put them all into the Wilder Trips website before I set off on the trip, so that I can juggle things around and see. And then I have to say, pretty much every evening, I will look at the plan, I will reassess how I feel, because that's really important as well. If I'm feeling really tired, or perhaps I've come down with a cold or something else, or if I've got an important work call that I need to stop for, anything like that, I change my plan. And this is really important as well. Do not be scared to change your plan. If you find somewhere stunning and you want to stop for a couple of days, I've done that all over the place. I'm like, oh, this is amazing, I'm staying here. And then I'll change and something else. Now there is a fear, of course, of, well, what will I miss? But that's part of the fun. But if you are somewhere that's beautiful and you really want to stay and change a future day, and just have that sort of flexibility. Now, if I'm in the UK, it is a little bit more difficult to travel without booking things up in advance, particularly if you want to stay somewhere for a couple of days. So I don't tend to do the big long driving days unless I'm staying at a campsite for a couple of nights at the end of that. So for example, when I go up to Scotland, I tend to drive up through England. I'm on the south coast of England, so I tend to do all of that big driving day, and then I'll stop somewhere like the Lake District for a night or 2 nights, and then I'll stop somewhere in Scotland or visit my sister or whatever, and then I can go on that way. And then in Scotland, when I'm there, I tend to do a couple of hours driving and move along, especially if I'm doing something like the NC 500 or the Southwest 300, and I'm sort of doing a loop or a set plan. Then I tend to drive a little bit every day rather than doing these big long driving days, because I'm already in the area. I don't want to miss it. So the big driving days I generally reserve for when I'm trying to get to a certain place, and then smaller driving days for when I am there. Now, to answer the question that everybody asks me is, how long should I aim for? It's going to depend on the types of roads you are driving. So if you are, say you want to go up through England to Scotland, if you live on the south coast like I do, if you're not happy to do 6-7 hours driving in a day, which is perfectly understandable, perhaps you're going to do 3 hours, 70 miles an hour on the motorway, assuming your vehicle does that. That's about 200 miles. So that's what you're looking at doing. So you'll try and find a campsite that you can stay at about 200 miles from wherever you're starting, and then you'll carry on again. If you are down in Cornwall or Scotland or the Lake District, you're not going to be doing 70 miles an hour. So if you are only going to do 2-3 hours driving in a day, you're only going to be covering about 70, 80 miles during that time. So there's a huge difference in the distance you can travel. So rather than focusing so much on how far in terms of distance, focus on the number of hours you want to drive for, and then look at the types of road, estimate what they might be, 30, 20, in really rural areas. And then of course, if you're going on the main roads, they'll be a lot faster than that. But that gives you a really good idea on how far you can travel each day without burning yourself out. And the thing that I always do is I add a bit of time to whatever the sat nav is telling me when I'm in the motorhome. So if it says I'm going to get somewhere in 4 hours, I will allow, well, 4.5 hours, 4:45. So don't think, oh, I can drive that quicker than that, like you might do if you're on a car or on a motorbike. You're rarely going to beat it in a motorhome. So take the time that the sat nav or Wilder Trips or whatever it is estimate and add stuff to that, and then you can decide, no, that's going to be too long a day. And the other thing as well, the time of year. If you don't like getting to the campsites in dark, which I don't particularly like doing that either, you're going to want to either get up earlier and so you can drive so far, or make your day shorter, because obviously the sun sets a lot earlier in winter than it does in summer, when you can arrive a lot later and still see what you're doing. So that was part 2 on the mini series of planning your road trips. I have got a free road trip planner which I will leave for you. The details that will be in the notes, and also the free road trip planning workshop is coming up again. I will leave the link for that in the notes. It is free to attend, and I'm going to walk you through how to plan your road trips, how to figure out all the things that are stressing you out and make the whole thing a lot less overwhelming. And there will be plenty of time as well that you can come and ask questions, and I will answer them live for you. So again, details for all of that will be in the notes. The third part of our series will be about how you know what you're booking when you're booking campsites or airs, and how to make that a little bit less overwhelming. That video will be out very soon. Make sure you are following along and subscribe to the Wandering Bird channel in order to get notified when that one comes out. If it is out already and you're watching this in the future, then the video will be here for you. And I will see you there. Take care. Bye.